Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me here. I would like to thank Organic Trade Association for inviting us, and I again also would like to pass on the message that Minister apologizes for not being able to be present here, but I hope I can represent Bhutan to the best of my abilities. So I suppose many of people may not have heard where Bhutan is, and would maybe some have Googled a little bit yesterday. But just to share a little bit, I will try to go quickly so that we'll have some time at the end for questions. The global attention that Bhutan has got for wanting to be organic and go organic, but there are also different issues that we have to address and look at. So I'll try to share some of the things that has happened so far and what is happening and what we have been planning in the next few years, what we plan to do. So just a quick thing on where we are placed. Maybe some people don't know where we are. So we're sort of sandwiched between India and China in a very small place next to a little bit east of Nepal. And we are a really small place, just about 38,400 square kilometers. And that's just maybe about the size of Switzerland. And about 80% of that country is under forest cover. And of all of that, we have like 51% of the country under national parks, corridors, biological corridors, and protected areas. So that basically puts half the country under no disruption at all. And if you look at the red parts, this is basically the area where we have any human settlement and development or agriculture activity happening in the country. So why organic is relevant to Bhutan, if you look at that? It's because the main farming value or cultural values of Bhutan is based on really traditional farming systems, traditional living, traditional ways of doing everything. And our culture, religion, spirituality, family, community, vitality, and ethics, these are so strong these play a very strong role in how people conduct their living as well as the business as well. And if you look at the farming system, it's basically very small farms, fragmented farms, and basically everybody is doing subsistence farming and just sort of looking at how can we make it more economical, more sustainable. And now the new issues that are coming up is how can we do farming more environmentally friendly while sustaining the production and for the people to earn some income. And now climate change is a new issue that is impacting our life, because not necessarily for what people have done in Bhutan, but as a result of what the globally things have happened. So we have glacial melting, and that impacts our life, everyday lives. Now, why organic is important in Bhutan? It is not about economic reasons, but it is more about survival, sustainability in the mountain ecosystems, because our farming is scratched out from mountains. And to ensure that we survive as a people in the mountains, our land has to be conserved, and that our tradition of saving seeds and passing on and exchanging seeds in the community has to go on. And when we ensure that our culture of diversity in food and how we do things is also needs to be sort of conserved. And when our food culture is conserved, it does not vanish. Our farmscapes will survive for many years, and just not going to, everybody is not going to move to the towns. And that our biodiversity, that is, we are one of the hotspots of biodiversity in the world, so that needs to be conserved. So only when we take care of all of this, they will ensure that our livelihood is continued and that our people will survive in the mountains. So these are the reasons why organic farming is important, because our land is so fragile and the fertility is quite low. So it is important that we sort of take care of the soil and the water and the air. Now, we also want to, we have a motion or sort of a movement to encourage our neighbors also, not only just Bhutan, our neighbors also, to encourage them to be a little bit more conservative, more sustainable, and that if we can link up so that we have organic Himalayas. And then people would ask this thing about, the other thing Bhutan is known for is the gross national happiness, and that is more important, the gross domestic product. But then we have, if you look at how that relates to organic farming, this is something I think sort of familiar with everybody, the principles of IFOM. And then if you look at these four principles and look at the four pillars of GNH, how GNH, what does it mean? There are four pillars. These are, so if you look at these four pillars, sustainable and equitable socio-economic development, preservation and promotion of cultural values, preservation of environment, and good governance. This is almost exactly the same as the principle. So it is relevant. It is, I suppose, then says organic is natural to be adopted as a farming system in Bhutan. Now, if you look at other deeper thing about how further do you go into assessing what are we, whatever we do, are we meeting the requirements of GNH? There are other domains which are psychological well-being. It's not only the money factor, it's the other well-being things that contribute to happiness of the people. It's the health, education, time use, cultural diversity and resilience, good governance, community vitality, ecological diversity and resilience. And these are the things people in Bhutan has chosen to use as a tool to assess any development activity in the country. So any project or proposal or anything that doesn't sort of pass through the screening test, that project or is not adopted. And this is the reason why Bhutan still hasn't joined WTO, because it didn't pass through the screening test. Maybe they'll still, they'll sort of probably have another assessment. So what are we doing in organic? I mean, it is all small production, but the little production that we do a lot of different things, but all on small scale, and almost all of it is for local consumption. So there's very little trade happening in, because of this, there's also the reason why we don't have much programs for certification. Now, if you look at what our conditions or the sort of basis where we can start, where we can build up on, agrochemicals were introduced just about 4 decades or so, and it was a short interruption of the traditional farming system, and that was not really taken up much, which resulted in a stockpile of expired pesticides in the country, and that was eventually sort of exported out to Switzerland to be incinerated, because it was felt it was not a good way to do the farming. People didn't take up this technology so well, the fertilizers and the chemicals. And the reasons were, one was that the soil fertility was really not being improved with the fertilizers impact. After a few years, the yield was declining and the soil structure was spoiled. People realized that. But with the pesticide, it was the religious factor. Many of the people are Buddhist and they don't like to kill animals. They felt spraying pesticide was really not the right way to be a good Buddhist. So these are the reasons why it gave a good basis to start organic farming. And where we started actually looking at it formally is where we, through some assistance or thinking that was started through the EU-supported project and UNDP-supported, got us started thinking about soil fertility management, integrated pest management, integrated nutrient management, and experimenting organic production in the country. So then when we looked at in the early 2000, so how could we start a sort of sector there was actually no policy at all. Never mention of organic agriculture in Bhutan. It was just, okay, the subsistence farming, try to develop whatever improvement you are doing. But when we looked at the acts and the whatever policies were there, they're all in favor of, supportive of organic farming. So what the Ministry of Agriculture did is developed a framework for organic farming in Bhutan, which basically provided a guiding principle on how to go forward if you wanted to develop organic farming. So it was not a national policy, but it was just a guiding principle. And now, since then, that has been adopted, endorsed by the government, and we have been implementing it for the 5 years. Now we have a sort of a strategic plan and a draft master plan as well. So if you look at where we now sort of got noticed for wishing to be organic is about 8 years ago, we had this national organic framework where this was a vision we envisioned. We thought it was a long way. And then we thought it would be good to have organic farming as a lifestyle for all farmers, that all the food that is eaten in the country would be organic. It would be not necessarily for economic trade, but that it would be a lifestyle for the people. Then eventually we'll build up surpluses so that people could start trading in organic farming. And then looking at what programs that need to be placed to support the stakeholders, producers, traders, and things, all the other partners that are involved. But again, it was cautionary because the government had to be very careful about the small group of people who do use that they are not enforced. They are not forced to go organic, or the other people are not forced either to use or not to use. So the choice has to be left with the people. So, but what was adopted was that we embrace the principles of organic production. But due to these complicated issues, we don't understand that those days we didn't even know what certified organic or whatever was happening. These were completely new to us. So we had to relearn, basically learn from scratch. So what was decided is we'll embrace the idea, look at supporting systems that need to be put in place, and go by product, region by region, in a phase-wise manner, try to develop supporting systems as well as alternatives. And as and when we find alternatives, we let the people choose what they want to adopt. But as much as possible, give advocacy and education so that people have the tools with which they can go forward. Now, other thing is also looking at making sure that whichever area or whatever product is going to be selected or promoted as organic, there has to have a careful assessment of market, food security, nutritional value, and health benefits and environmental benefits. Otherwise, since there's no premium in our country, there's no incentive, there's no reason for people to choose to be organic. So it has to be value added or tied up with something which generates into a positive result. So again, if you look at the thing, when you actually go there, there are a lot of challenges and things. What is the major challenges we have to actually reach there is that our system of information, what we have, human capacity, is really at the very basic level. So our research and capacity, research development is also really low. So that is the area where we need the biggest investment as well as capacity building and development. And our compared to our neighboring countries, our cost of production and cost of marketing is very high. So our in every way, just producing any type of food is quite expensive, and it becomes quite a challenge without considering that organic needs now sort of additional information or technology. So then at the moment in Bhutan, why would people go organic? This basically completely not for economic reasons at the moment. It is health or environment or religious reason why people would choose to be organic. And because there's no premium, actually people are not making any money. So actually there's no reason for even people to even cheat and say we are organic. So, because if you go to the market, there's no way we can differentiate organic, local, by default, everything sells at the same market, same price. So there's really no incentive at the moment. So we are hoping that we can build on that. And because if you look at our area, majority are by default organic. Now, if we look at how we plan to sort of move forward, we have categorized different places in our country, looking at some areas as more environmentally already natural, that can be conserved, and places which can be developed for agriculture production related to, linked with local markets, and other areas where we could develop for market-driven production. And for each of these, again, the assistance or programs required are completely different. So we have programs in that order. And now, how do we translate that to the farm level? Basically, because our farms are so small, each farms are integrated farms. It is a farm wrapped up in everything, poultry, we have cows and chicken and horticulture, agriculture, everything mixed together. So we need an integrated approach. So this is why we need to look at first the household food security, local market, then only later, once you have surplus, looking at export. And then again, identifying some economic activity which can generate some income for the farmers. And then again, targeting areas where farmers have no access to agrochemicals at all. There's just no access, so how can they manage to improve, how can they improve their farm productivity by using organic technology? So this is where we feel we have the biggest opportunity. So we have looking at, we have trained every extension agent at the block level in organic, to deliver organic support to the farmer, so that the first interaction of a farmer with the extension agent is not pesticide and fertilizer, but it is organic technology that they are taught to make composts or make botanical extract or green manuring. So that way, at least overall, the external input is reduced. Now, if you are interested to look at where are we actually, this is, we don't have a system at the moment organized to count who all are organic. So, but this is just the people who have voluntarily registered or said we want to be organic. So we have like maybe 2,069 acres, that is the voluntarily registered. By default, there's much more. But our focus is more on non-wood forest products and natural wild collection. And then the wild collection is the lemongrass oil, which is the only certified product at the moment that is being exported to Europe. And that is the only product that is certified in the last 10 years, and that hasn't changed. That is all we have still. And the rest are all grown and eaten in the country, and they are not certified organic. And we have other groups, NGOs, private sector. So these are all small. And then we have agriculture clubs in every school. About more than 130 schools are doing agriculture in the schools, and these are all organic. And so marketing is a huge challenge. We are so behind in all this market organization, really poor with intra-marketing, intra-district marketing. Also, we are really not organized at the moment. So because of this, cost of marketing is so high that it really doesn't help for farmers to actually increase the production at the moment. So it is our labeling and branding is so, also there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but we see there's a lot of potential in that area. And the premium at the moment, as I said, is not on organic, but is on being local. If you compare with imported food, we are import dependent. Quite a lot of food is imported. There's a huge premium on the local food, but not so much on the being organic itself. So now that's the reason why we need to now look at distinguishing our organic from the local produce. Now, if you just look at, we don't have a certification system or regulation system fully set up, but interim management is such that my office, which is the organic program, which plays a coordinating and facilitation role, linking up producers with the ministry and as well as the certification that happens. So this is how we try to link up with the departments, line departments, the research centers, as well as the farmers and the farmer groups through the districts. But with outside, we don't have not much export, so there's really little thing that is done. So, but where this little third-party certification happening, all we do at the moment is require that they be registered, any foreign certified be registered, and then let the inspections and the thing happen. Other than that, we don't have much certification happening at all. But what we are proposing now is to have a national organic promotional mark, which is a brand, which is basically is for organic products, so that. But in that label management, we have the Bhutan Agriculture and Food Regulation Authority and within the ministry, that we basically is all through education and support to the farmers and the stakeholders, that we provide education and training, and then just for the local market, we provide the label for marketing. But only if there is export and if a certification is demanded, then only we provide a sort of a certification process support facility through the office, which is the regulatory authority. Otherwise, it will be just local markets and assurance system based on participatory guarantee system and group management, that local assurance is provided. And where that how and who can provide is by, they still have to comply to the national organic standard, but there is a monitoring and supervision through our extension services of the Ministry of Agriculture. And these are some of the other forms how we could use that label is through local assurance, participatory guarantee system, national domestic certification, and in the future maybe registration of imports. So now if you look at where are we in the future, what are the challenges? Our biggest concerns for going organic is basically the that's a notion that yields will decline. And at the moment we haven't observed, but people do worry about that, and the pest and disease and weeds and the cost of production that is high. Other than that, these other issues are also relevant to non-organic, so I suppose it is the same. But for research and development, that's where we really need a lot of attention. Now, if you look at how the use of pesticides or agrochemicals is in Bhutan, if you look at that green part is, which has been increasing, is the use of weedicide in some crops. But if you look at the last, in the last 5 years after the this organic program actually was endorsed, then it has stabilized. So which means there is a positive effect of adopting a sort of a policy that we would like to be organic. And why we have an issue with the weedicide is because we have a very low population. We are less than about 750 people. Shortage of labor, so weeding is an issue, and this is the reason why weedicide has become an issue. But again, if you look at the total use, it is less than 400 metric tons that is being used, including weedicides and pesticides. And if you look at the pesticide, most of it is like non-toxic oils, but we still consider it with pesticide. And if you, again, with the fertilizers, if you look at after 2008, when it was policy was sort of looking at we would like to adopt organic, then the use has been stabilized. Where it has been increasing is because when those days it was free, it was promoted, then it was increasing, but now it is decreased. Now, if you look at our field, the recent agriculture statistics in Bhutan, before we just assumed maybe 30–40% must be by default organic. But recently what we found from our agriculture survey is that if you look at this, agriculture and chemical fertilizer is used only by less than 2%, and 98% of the farms are not using any agrochemical fertilizers. In fruits and in cereals and vegetables, it's about 94% who are not using any pesticides or agrochemicals. and it's a small now. It's less than 2% who are using in fruits, and in vegetables and cereals less than 5%. So 95% of the farms or farmers are not using any agrochemicals. So that is how close, I suppose, if you look at. And the reasons people give why they are not using agrochemicals, people feel either, some have heard about organic, they have had some exposure, and but again, some people feel they couldn't buy it, it was not accessible. Others felt it was not necessary. So because of, due to all these various reasons, the usage is still very low in the country. Now, if you look at considering the usage, now should organic be still a niche area or go as a mainstream? The policy is a principle that has been adopted. And then we had a statement by our former Prime Minister that we would like to be organic by 2020, and especially in 100% of food production. So that is the biggest challenge again. And all the other policies adopted are positive and in favor of organic. But again, there are a lot of challenges. So for the government at the moment is still saying, we would like to be organic. It's an aspiration, it is a vision, but it'll take some time. We need to prepare, and I don't know whether 2020 will be a possibility. And as just a list of all the different things that need to be done to actually get there. And if look at now, our challenge is actually now probably the last 3% of our land. If you look at the total area in our country, because our agriculture production happens on just 2.93% of the total area, and that is 100%. Now, if we have 95% of the farms already not using anything, there actually is just a very small percentage we need to actually work on. But that again is the hardest to change, because that's where we need a lot of investment in research, finding solutions, alternatives, and or otherwise, if you really want to go then deciding that you have to compensate the farmers or change whatever you want to, so these are some decisions that the government has to make. And for Bhutan, at least the government is now open to proposal, and they're saying, okay, tell us what it is that we need to do. We are open to recommendation, so we need technical recommendation. So what is going to be the impact of going 100% organic? Economic-wise, sustainability, environment-wise, and socially, what is going to be the impact of going organic? So if we can give a assessment of, if you went organic 100%, these are going to be the impacts. And if those impacts are going to be positive, then the government is happy to now make a stand. But at the moment, we haven't been able to provide that assessment. So we are still working on doing an assessment, country assessment, where we do look at environmental, social, as well as economic assessment, and see where we end up. And if we can have a positive result, then I think government is ready to fully go for it. But at the moment, we're still at that point. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. We're really impressed by your vision to take your country to an organic direction. So I come from the West Coast, and when I told some of my organic farming friends that you would be speaking, they had a question that they wanted me to bring and share. So given that your country's tourism and travel restrictions are rather severe, do you think that organic farmers who might wish to come and both learn and share their experience with people in Bhutan, might perhaps be some special opportunity visa-wise or travel-wise for them to come and stay and work in Bhutan and share their knowledge and with people who want to learn more about successful organic practices elsewhere? Do you think that that might be a possibility for people to come and stay longer as opposed to kind of your current travel policy?
Yes, I think our travel things have changed now, so the travel is much easier. But your question about staying longer, there are a few people who are already doing that, but they usually are tied up with some agencies or NGOs or farms where they have to make pre-arrange where they will work or where they will assist in a farmer group or some institution. So that is happening. I think the possibilities are there. Yeah.
Hi, thanks for your great speech. And I have a question about the very tiny number of farmers that aren't organic. Are they growing a particular commodity? Are they large farmers, or do they have some particular characteristic?
We have all farmers do all sorts of farming. It's all mixed farming, but there are particular crops like food crops, which are rice and maize and potato. These are important food crops, and we don't produce enough food. So these are sort of crops we let people choose. I mean, people do more likely to use agrochemicals a little bit. And then in fruits, it's the mandarins, citrus, and apples where they use. Actually, but again, if you look at it, it's just 2% who actually spray anything. But in field crops, it's 5%. But usually it's these 5 crops which are concentrated on.
When you say you give the farmers the choice and teach them about sustainable and organic practices, do you also teach them about the concerns involved in both for the environment and human health of the application of pesticides?
Yes, we do. Actually, we do start with the principles and practices of organic farming and the implications of their choices and the effect their farming practice has on nature and environment, especially the soil and the water. And only after that, we usually let them sort of practice in their kitchen garden. And when they are confident and they've decided they want to move forward, then only sort of it's all left to the farmers to choose, but we just give the information at the moment.
One.
Is there any opportunity in the future for Bhutan to export organic food to other countries? And in general, what is the economy of Bhutan? If agriculture is basically to feed the Bhutanese population, what are your exports and what is your economy like?
Our biggest export at the moment is hydropower, and tourism is the basis of economics. And with food production, as I said, we are still import dependent. So exporting food may be a little bit difficult, but there are the niche products, which are the non-wood forest products, medicinal plants, natural dyes, which are not food. Non-food products might be the potential areas where we can explore exporting.
So based on, I guess, your food production, do you know what percentage you have to import, and if that is organic, the food that you import?
The way we count food security in Bhutan is quite odd, because it is not a total food that is counted, because many people have changed their dietary habits, moving from traditional buckwheat and maize and potato and wheat to everybody wanting to eat rice. So they are only counting rice. So if you look at rice, we are importing about 50% of the rice. That is not because there is not enough food, because people have chosen to eat rice. So if we had people diversifying the diets, maybe we would be more food secure. But the issue is that now we need to either produce more rice or import rice, or teach people to relearn how to eat our traditional foods again. So that is the issue. But on imported food, it's not organic food. It's conventional food that is being imported at the moment. And again, the biggest effort the ministry is putting into is import replacement. trying to grow as whatever is imported so that we reduce the import and sort of try to balance the trade deficit of the food.
I think that's all the time we have, but I really want to thank you for the time that you've spent with us.